Hello, Jen here, and I have a card for you guys. So every year, Daisie and I love to do this Christmas card lift series. We normally do it in November, and it was inspired a few years ago by both of us finding out that we actually really loved Christina Warner's Christmas card series that she does. She does 25 cards, usually starting I think the last week of October or into November. She does 25 of them, and we both watched religiously and secretly wished that we could create those cards as amazingly as Christina does. And so after having a bit of a conversation, we decided to challenge ourselves and see if we could recreate some of her cards. We ended up having so much fun doing it that we decided to do it again the next year, and we picked different designers, just, kind of picking some of our favorite ones. And then the year after that, we invited some people to join us and kind of join in on the fun. And again, we asked them to actually pick cards to scrap lift. And it's just been such a great series. I really love it. I get all of my Christmas cards done every year, and I think I've learned a lot about card making and picked up a whole bunch of little techniques. And really, we just enjoy kind of taking those cards and using the stash that we have and using our kind of scrapbooking background and making some beautiful Christmas cards. So we definitely wanted to do it again this year, and we had a really great idea, and maybe we will do it next year. Maybe 2021 will be a bit more of a normal year for us, but of course in true COVID 2020 style, things just kind of got delayed, so we ended up not being able to do our series starting in November. That was mostly my fault with the new baby here, and we are kind of condensing it into 1 week. So we have 4 cards. So what we're doing this year is a little bit of a kind of last minute Christmas card inspirations. So I've picked a inspiration piece, and Daisie has, and then we have Christy joining us one day, and we have Heather and Susie from Wild Whisper joining us, and we just asked them to kind of issue us a challenge, and we are going to create a card based on that challenge. So you can see here, my challenge was to use that scrapbook page that I found on Pinterest and see if you could make a card inspired by that page. So I just kind of liked that idea of the folded Christmas tree that is on the scrapbook page. I think the folding technique that is used on the page is probably a little bit more detailed than mine, but I didn't want to add too much bulk. So basically what I did is I cut 3 by 3 squares, 2.5 by 2.5, 2 by 2, and 1.5 by 1.5 squares, and then cut them in half to get my triangles. And so I'm just going to keep the background triangles, so you'll see here as I'm building it, I'm going to keep the background triangles flat, and then I'm just folding kind of central triangles that go over top to give that same look as the tree that you see in the layout, but without adding a ton of folding, so your card isn't too thick, because you still want this to be able to go into an envelope and you want to be able to mail it. I even think if you didn't want to add this step here that you see me doing right now by taking that triangle and folding it, you could just have the flat triangles. I think those trees look really cute too, but just to kind of keep with the layout, I wanted to add this kind of extra little triangle section to my trees. So when I put the background down, I started with the bottom triangle and I moved my way up. And now you can see for these folded ones, I'm starting with the top triangle and moving my way down, because I'm actually layering them on top of each other so that they all fit really nicely into each other and give that kind of illusion of the cascading tree. So I did 2 versions of this. I always try to challenge myself to do a couple different kind of unique ways of making cards with the same elements, or the same, in this case, the same papers and that same basic idea of a tree. So I did this one here, which kind of to me feels more like the layout. So it's only 3 triangles tall, and I cut about 3/4 of an inch off of the card. So that top part of the card is actually quite short, and you see a lot of the inside of the card poking out. And I feel like the layout probably can't be opened up, but just the way that she has the sort of 2 sides to the layout, I almost feel like that tree, you could pop it open. And so that's what I wanted to give my card, was that feeling. So obviously it's a card, so it does open, but I really wanted to be able to kind of have like 2 completely separate halves to the card, and kind of, you know, have a lot of that inside poking out. So here you can see I'm using this red paper. That's just an American Crafts 6x6 paper pad that I found, I think probably at Winners a long time ago. So I just have some red in the background so that my tree really stands out against that. And when you're writing in these cards, you can definitely cut another little piece of just white cardstock to have kind of an empty space, or write on the other side. You could write on the back of the tree because that's white. I didn't do anything to the back. You could, if you wanted, you could maybe take some of your leftover triangles and recreate the tree on the back. There's lots of things you could do there, but I just kind of wanted to do the main design of the card for you. So that's one version, and then I have the wooden star that I put on top. I painted those stars with a little bit of gold paint and then some glitter, and then I'm just going to embellish with some sequins. One thing I would say about doing this way is to kind of remember that you have that star there. So wherever you start on the bottom, give yourself just a little bit of extra space up at the top so you can kind of center it with the height of the star. And then this is the other version of the card that I did. So there's actually 4 triangles, so it's a little bit taller. It actually spans from the top of the card all the way down to the bottom once you get that star on there. And because the bottom triangle is wider, it was actually the full width of my card base, so I don't have that little extra bit kind of cut off. So again, you still see that inside poking out. I'm just covering it with some more red. Because it kind of covered the bottom triangle covers the entire card, I decided to not have a little white border around this inside, so it goes right to the edge. And again, you can put a little piece of white paper in there if you want to write your message, or however you want to do that. And then I have my wooden star on the top there, and I have my little sequins, and I think that these turned out so cute. Now you could just leave it with the triangles if you wanted, and then add maybe different colored sequins or enamel dots or something like that. Or you could try your hand at some different folding techniques if you wanted to add even more texture. I think these are just the right width that you'll be able to put them into an envelope and they'll mail really nicely. And yeah, I kind of love how these turned out. For me, basically just kind of winging it with some scraps that I had, I think they turned out so stunning. I can't wait to mail them off to somebody. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please come back tomorrow so you can see our next inspiration and hopefully get some of your last minute cards made. So until then, happy scrapping. Merry Christmas. Bye.